Thank you.
Are you talking about the team? Do you want to speak or just in case you have questions?
Answer your question.
Okay. She. I would want.
On. No. There is. There you go.
6:30, I'll call the meeting to order. Chief, would you like to introduce our planner for this evening?
Yes, ma'am. We just want to introduce, Brooks Wilson. She has a lot of history. She's worked with McKinney, Salina. She worked with Pellanee as well. And we just want to welcome her for filling in. Pellanee was in Hawaii, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I offered to go to Hawaii instead, so you can.
It's very.
Her husband objected.
He did say that, yeah. But anyway, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for having us, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, moving to closed session, pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551, the Town Council will recess into closed executive session and close the following. Number one, Section 551.074, personal matters to deliberate and consider appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of public officer or employee, to wit, Board of Adjustment Chair, Planning and Zoning Commission Chair, and Bartlett Community Development Chair. Time being 6:31, being in session. Before we reconvene the open session, action will be taken during agenda item H9. Public participation. If you'd like to speak to the council, please fill out the form and hand it to Shannon. Please indicate on the form if you wish to speak during the discussion on specific agenda item. Remember, council members are not allowed to answer questions during public participation. Please state your name and record for the address and address for the record, your name and address for the record. Do we have yours?
No, Mayor, we do have one that signed up, the applicant for items H 2 and 3, but nothing with public presentations.
Okay. Thank you. Appointed representative liaison report. Number one, for Trinity, you know, did he turn in, did he have anything in? She,
Okay.
Dale didn't give you anything, but
No.
I never returned, okay, thank you.
You comment, obviously, we'll be at the same time.
Okay, okay. Number two, Denton County Emergency District Chief on.
Evening, Mayor, Council. Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here. First, I'd like to say thank you, Mayor, for being there last Sunday before last. We had our big official wet down and pushing ceremony for the new ambulance. It's beautiful. I'm very thankful for that. It was a great day. We had 3 snow cones and it was good. Always love having the community out and participating in those things. And so it was a great time. I enjoyed having it. Other good news, we also got just this Friday, we've got our very first aerial apparatus. So if you follow us on Facebook, you might see it, but it's kind of, we call it Quinn. It's a little bit cheaper than a larger fire truck. It's a fire engine with a big ladder on it. So we're excited about that. We'll probably do a push-in ceremony for it in the next few months. But right now, our firefighters are focused on training. So they're going through a certification class for the apparatus. And so they'll do that for the next 2 weeks for now implementing. So hopefully in October, we can put it in service. Now, it'll be for the news station that's in North Lake, when that does get built. As you know, we did hire those firefighters and put them in service back this past month on the 2nd. And they're currently out of station 514. They're off, in Harvest Creek. So excited about that. We're just a lot of good things are happening. So, just been a busy month. We're staying steady. We're not too crazy busy as we were last year. We're still hovering around 4% growth for the year. So I think we're going to be just fine for the year. A couple of things. We had our September 11th blood drive. You know, we do that. It's our 3rd year to do that. Hard to believe I've been here almost 3 years now. So we did learn something this time. This is the first year we did it actually on September. Other years we did it kind of all set, flying anything we could. I think it might have been a little too busy. We had a lot of things going on that day, so our turnout wasn't as big as that. There was so much stuff going on September 11th, so we didn't do it as well as we did the year before. But it was still a good success. Anytime, you know, for every pint you get donated, that's 3 lives. So, you know, that's why we do it. We want to, what better way to save a life than, you know, I think it's blood. So, other things we have planned in October 4th, we have our 2nd annual, it's been the 2nd time we've done it, our free vaccine clinic. Choose to have a vaccine, you can come to our fire station on October 4th between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. And we partner with Albertsons, and just it's free. You bring your insurance card, and we did it last year, the first time, we just tried it out. We had over 50 people show up. I was shocked. And so it was it was a good thing. So we look forward to doing that again. November, we're kind of giving the heads up. I hadn't put out the official stuff. We're always working with something, right? So last year we did our first Veterans Day flag retirement ceremony. We found a need in the community where, you know, all of our stations had a big red box where you could put the flags. And so they were like full, and we called around, everybody else had full ones. We worked with local Boy Scouts, and so we did a flag return. So we're looking to do something for that Veterans Day. And of course, we'll work with the Argyle Food Bank again. That was a big hit last year. For Thanksgiving, we'll sponsor, we'll work with them and come up with a way we can kind of just raise awareness about, for a food drive for the holiday, get it going into the holiday. And so of course, that lead into Santa for that, for consumers. So, well, that's all I got. If you have any questions for me? you can answer your question.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Police Department, Chief Riggs, before you say anything, I'd just like to thank you for filling that huge hole in Timber Ridge. I don't know how many bags of asphalt you took over there, but, that was pretty, there was a huge hole over there and he went and filled it himself. He took a bunch of asphalt over there, spent a few hours, dumping asphalt and running over it or pounding it or whatever.
Want to get out there early, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's all.
Anyway, thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That helps.
Mayor, council, good evening. If you look at the budget, not budget, our stats, we did have about 138 calls this last month, which is an increase from last year. Also, it's the most we've had in the last 4 years. If you look at our crashes, we actually went down this month, which is nice. From last month, it's 17, we went to 9 this month. And the only thing really, we did have one part one crime, it was a burglary of a motor vehicle at Kroger. That vehicle was open and they went in and removed the credit card. And we also had a theft in Kroger. So those were 2 part one crimes. On building checks, the officer did 132. We had traffic complaints where officers go out. When we get complaints, they sit, they will make sure we do what we're seeing. Try to reduce the speeds at those locations. And then we had 256 traffic stops this past month, 2 vacation house watches, and then they did a 12 walkthrough. So a total self-initiated activity about 321. And then I already explained the part one crimes we had. And then also at the beginning of the school year, what we like to do is we go out and we meet with the Harvest Academy. We go out and we do it periodically. We make sure we go in there. We have card readers, keys to get access to anything, as you know, with everything going on in those schools, but to make sure we have a layout, they know us, we know them. And then also, even though it's not in our town, we go to Razor Elementary and just sort of get familiar with them. They actually have Denton County SRO, it's not Marvin, which was interesting. But if anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
And the Axon cameras too, guys.
Oh, thank you. Exxon cameras, see that's on it. Yeah, we actually finally got the Exxon cameras in car. We had the body cameras for quite a while. Like I've said before, these are top of the line. This is the best camera system out there. And so anyway.
Next question. Do you attribute the new stoplights to decrease in number of crashes? The one by Neely and, there's 3 right in a row. I don't know, it seems like it's really, the traffic backs up, but people aren't going as fast, of course.
Anytime you do put in traffic lights, I do think it could have an effect on, how many accidents. Most of those accidents are speed related. So I would have to say without any data, I have to agree with you. So yes, I do believe that now. I got complaints, they like them and some don't like them, but it has slowed down. And it makes it easier to pull out when you're at IT immediately, and then at Razor, so I think it will help on reducing our accidents.
Chief, I had overheard conversation involved with the conversations last week. And I'm showing my 3 minutes here, but they were talking about these individuals of collecting tokens by cities and by law enforcement officers. Is there a token or badge that's collectible that goes from towns to public servants to, because I've not heard this before, and there was smiling on the face or something, but maybe I'm just learning something.
Yeah, what they are is challenge coins. It actually started in the military and essentially our paramilitary organization. We have our challenge coins and basically a lot of agencies, the officers collect either the patches, the challenge coins. So we do have a challenge coin and that's what it is. It's a challenge coin for most agencies. We put, something that is important to you or the town or keep our good country or excellent community involvement. So that's what you're talking about. It started back in World War II, I believe, and what it was is when they, if we were at a bar, at a establishment that serves drinks, if I said I was with, the Green Berets or an infantry, sorry, I don't know exactly which ones, but if I was unable to present my coin, then you may have to buy a round. So it started back in World War II.
Okay.
That's the history of it, and it just sort of went into long.
Well, these wicked individuals were really involved in this. And, they asked me, and I said, no, the one person that would probably know the lead chief, I said, so you need to go down there and introduce yourself to them, ask him. Yeah, they made it sound like this was important to them, because they were big collectors, and they not only did it, but I guess it was just law enforcement agencies, is that what it is?
No, it's fire department, sorry, I looked the fire. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave you out. They have challenge points as well. It just started with the.
It's more of a just a, hey, kind of a greeting thing, you give people, hey, thanks for helping me, so give you a challenge point. You can purchase them, but most times, when I give them out for, hey, it's like a partnership, hey, good job, I appreciate it. Kind of, hey, it lets you have a challenge point, so.
I received one from you the other month.
We can take care of that right now.
Yeah.
Step it up.
You can take care of that right now. I got it one today.
Okay. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Administration, Shannon?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to let you know, because I collect them as well. Okay, before I start the financial report for August, I just want to give you a couple of bank balances as of today's date. So our general fund is at $4,304,329.89. And then the reserves, we've been talking about quite a bit lately, their balance is at $651,088.37. And later on, if you look through for the budget amendment, Chief will bring up that we want to put in some money into the reserves this year as well. Keep that.
Still got the goal of trying to get $1 million in the reserve category.
So page 23 is where all general fund reserve starts. So far, total revenue collected in the month of August was $172,566.20. Year-to-date total is $2,972,384.26. Again, I've been saying this the last couple of months. We have been really good this year. We are way under budget. We're doing a great job. I do want to point out that under property tax, we did have a negative. We were short with collections of $10,921.46. And those shortages are due to when people protest and they win their protest, that they've already paid in their taxes, so they're getting their refund. So that was what our what we owe to the county. So they used all the property taxes around $3,000 for August. They kept that, and then we just had to put in $7,030. So we were just almost $11,000 in shortages for protests. Does anybody have any questions before we move on? Sales tax collections, August, we received $116,646.46, which is representing the June 2025 sales activity. So we're still on a good trend moving forward to the next. And of course, this month we did have the collections, that's why the total amount came in was in the Heritage Show. For all general fund expenditures, we're mid fourth quarter, so we're one more month, everybody in here knows with everything going on with budget. The expenditures for general fund was $168,171.01. And if you look at that, that was leaving us $620,402 remaining in our budget. And obviously, we're not gonna spend that much in September, so we're again really on target, being under budget. And I'm sorry, I sound like a broken record, but that's very good status to be in.
Great job.
Okay, so breaking it down into administration, the administration department expense a little over 70,000, which was $70,469.49. And they have approximately $292,301, which is about 23% left in expenditures that they could spend, which honestly, we're not going to. Doing really well. Can't emphasize that enough. And the same story on the police side as well, we'll look at their breakout. The police department, they spent $62,271 in the month of August, and they have approximately $826,110 budgeted funds available. So next month, when we come back to the council meeting to have the financial report for September, we'll be able to really look at all the expenses that have come in, and we're in really good shape.
The police are under budget also.
Yes,
What will we do,
Which
budget
is awesome.
amendments?
we're doing budget amendments tonight, and when we get to that.
End up with the additional ones.
We won't do additional, I put some guesstimates in there where we're gonna be, but we'll be a lot closer, which will give us more transparency and be able to better future plan. See, any questions?
Thanks, Shannon, and I'd like to thank both of you for all the hard work you've done on budget this year.
Yes.
So it's been some long hours and a lot of going back and forth and a lot of adjusting. And I really appreciate all the work you put into this, because it's a hard few months. It's all the
I
time.
really also, you guys took the time and effort to kind of simplify things and break it down. Categories where it makes it much more easy to decide.
And saving money too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to work both the mayor and Chief Briggs. I think it's been really great. We have great communication and we can bounce things off of each other. I think it's been a great experience.
A pleasant budget year.
Yes.
I said it.
I guess, we can say it's
Yes.
Thank you. Consent agenda. This agenda consists of non-controversial housekeeping items required by law. As measured,
Do we wanna,
oh, Bill, did you wanna?
I had time,
About 2 minutes. Okay.
if you have time, I'm sorry I'm late, didn't think I was.
That was my fault.
You gotta get your facts straight, young man.
And
You know, I don't want to take too much of your time, but saw some interesting things that might be interesting to you. And I always give this package to the chief. I thought I'd just run through a few of them, kind of maybe get your interest in what happens around your community. Okay, this information is all info. So here's the brief thing. Salina is growing so fast that they're going to go to stage 2 already on their water. They're way over what they can get, and they're doubling the size next 5 years. And so it's just unbelievable what's going on up there. This Marvin Nichols thing, I don't know if you ever heard about that or not. This is another lake that they want to have provide water to Dallas. And Marvin Nichols Reservoir, been mediating about it. And they delayed it now for 20 years, but this mediation goes on, so who knows? There's work on 35 interchange to begin 2026, the 407. I don't know if you noticed about this or not, but they're going to do something to that interchange because they're traffic so horrific out there. So that's something that's coming up. AI's demand for water is becoming so huge worldwide. And the largest center in the world is just outside of Abilene. $500 billion is being spent. And it's all for AI and computer processing. So that's a big thing. They take a lot of water. They take electricity, but water is just as critical to keep those things cool. Something that's never happened in Texas, but they're gonna do it now. They're working on it. It used to be you could pump any amount of water you wanted out of the ground. Even took all the water your neighbor had, groundwater. Well, there's some big developments going in, they're drilling wells. This could very well have something to do with the First Ranch. down the road. But they're going to take water away from other things, other individuals in that. Because surface water is becoming, or groundwater, I'm sorry, is becoming very critical also. And we need both. Groundwater wells and, Flower Mound or Argyle is drilling 3 wells over there, I think you heard. Developers are paying for it, you probably know about that. But keep an eye on it, see what happens there. But these big users of water in the past, we didn't worry about it. But we're beginning to worry about that your neighbor can water as bad as you do. And as water level is slower, it becomes more critical. There's a new wildlife preserve outside of Sanger. And there's a big objection to a sewer plant being built near that, near wildlife refuge. So that's coming, and we'll keep an eye on what's going on there. But there's just a few things that are in this package that I give to the chief. And if you ever want to see them, they're there. I come and get them, I take them to plant timber and somebody else. Who do I take these things to, chief?
Pardon me.
Argyle. I take them to Argyle. So they all, I look out for this thing. I thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. This agenda consists of non-controversial housekeeping items required by law. Items may be approved with single motion. Items may be removed by any council member by making such a request prior to motion and a vote with consent agenda. Number 1, consider approval of the September 2nd, 2025 budget meeting minutes. Number 2, consider approval of ordinance amending the county clerk code of ordinances, chapter 1, general provisions by the federal boards, commissioners, and committees, provision 2, planning and zoning commission, section 1.04.035, meetings and organization. In division 3, board of adjustments, section 1.04062, organization procedures, subsection A, membership by adding the provision, county council will appoint the respective chairs and removing the limitation on the number of successive terms of office of chair. Number 3, consider approval of a resolution approving and adopting amendments to the Bartonville Community Development Corporation bylaws by adding a provision of the town council will appoint a chair. We'll be removing this agenda item. Number 4, consider approval of amending resolution number 2, 2024-14, restructuring the special events advisory committee by adding provisions of town council will appoint chair. Number 5, consider approval of contract with services agreement with Steve Cole for building inspection services beginning October 1, 2025 and ending through September 30th, 2026. Authorize the town administrator to execute the same on behalf of the town. Number 6, consider approval of contractor services agreement with Commercial Code Enforcement for code enforcement services beginning October 1, 2025 through September 30th, 2026, and authorize the town administrator to execute the same on behalf of the town. Almost there. Number 7, you want to see him? I got it, thank you, and I appreciate it. Number 7, consider approval of contractor services agreement with Fred Hodges for gas bill inspection services beginning October 1, 2025 through September 30th, 2026, and authorize town administrator to execute the same on behalf of the town. Number 8, consider approval of contractor services agreement with Bureau Veritas North American Inc. for health services beginning October 1, 2025 through September 30th, 2026. And authorize the town administrator to execute the same on behalf of the town. Number 9, consider approval of contractor services agreement with Annalise Griffith RSDS for OSSF services beginning October 1, 2025 through September 30th, 2026, and authorize the town administrator to execute the same on behalf of the town. Do I have a motion to remove agenda item G3?
Oh, well done.
Thank you.
And motion to this is agenda items number 1 through 9.
I'll,
No, wait, we gotta remove 3.
if I can, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda excluding C3. Okay. That's the rest, that's right.
Okay.
That's we do.
Number 3, yes. Do you have a second? All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. There will be no action taken on consent agenda item G three. Public hearings and regular items. Conduct a public hearing. Receive comment regarding the proposed property tax rate of no 173,646 total $100 assessed valuation of taxable property within the appropriate limits of the town of Bartonville for tax year 2025. Staff presentation. Chief Chris.
Mayor Council, per Texas state law, the town is required to publish notice of the 2025 property tax rate, including the new revenue rate, the voter approval rate, and the notice of the public meeting. No new revenue rate is 0.161552. The voter approval rate is 0.167788. And our proposed rate is 0.173646. And the diminished rate is 0.235144. The proposed tax rate of 17 cents is the same as current rate, while it's higher than the voter approval rate is below the de minimis rate. This means that the town is not required to hold an election, and citizens cannot petition one under section 26075 of the tax code. However, citizens may still express their support or opposition to the proposed tax rate.
Thank you. Time being 7:05, open the public hearing. Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
I do not have anybody sign up.
Would anyone like to speak in opposition? Time being 7:05 again, close the public hearing. Action on the proposed tax rate will be taken on agenda item H6. Number 2, discuss and consider preliminary plat for High Plains at First Ranch encompassing approximately 461.421 acres of property situated in the Pinson Will Survey abstract number 1339 and AM Feltus Survey abstract number 1595 in the western ETJ of the town of Bartonville, Denton, Texas, Denton County, Texas. This property is located generally east, State Highway 377, between Keith Road and Sweet, and the applicant is GM Civil on behalf of the Royal Cat V1 Press C, Sparkler Springs Development LP, and Old WR Ranch 1/2 LP. Town of Bartonville file number PP 2025-002. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with conditions by a vote of 5-0 at September 3rd, 2025 meeting. Staff presentation, Planner Brooks.
Mayor, I need to recuse myself on items 2 and 3.
Thank you.
Mayor and council, this plat was approved last year. This preliminary plat rather was approved last year, and they are proposing some minor changes to the preliminary plat. And the changes would be, in general, a few changes in the road layout, and also a few changes in the common areas and layout of the lots. So it's not all that different from last year, but it's a little bit different. The preliminary plat proposes 1,104 residential lots and 2 mixed-use lots. This is the location map, which you already mentioned in your caption, 461 acres that will have houses and mixed use in certain areas. So the preliminary plat generally aligns with the town standards. There was civil engineering reviews performed by the Denton County Development Services, the MUD and the CCNs rather, serving the area of the jurisdiction. The property is in the Bartonville ETJ, so there's no zoning to consider for this, so it doesn't meet any of, or very many of your zoning categories, but it doesn't have to. So P and Z recommended approval with conditions. The main condition that is for your consideration is this offset. There's an intersection that crosses that easement and then connects with 140 feet offset. This is a little bit lower than what is required by the city of Bartonville, town of Bartonville, sorry, which requires 300 feet.
But the engineer and the planner of record, both agreed that this will not be a safety issue in this case. And so they recommend that the council approve this, variation. The other issues are mostly, things that are on the preliminary plat, they're referred to, for instance, the, updating the notes to ensure open space utility lots are properly referenced for ownership and maintenance. The ownership of the common area lots will either be owned and maintained by the MUD or the HOA, or a combination of that. And they need to have that written on the preliminary plat and the subsequent final plats. Lots 3X, 4X, and 5X, on block 45 will also be on block 46, as they are separated by right-of-way. The town ordinances shall be updated for, not only the town of Florida, now the town of Argyle, and the town of Argyle ETJ, but also the town of Bartonville and the Bartonville ETJ. So this is a very large area that spans quite a few jurisdictions. The other issues are lots that require floodplain reclamation shall comply with Denton County. Boundaries shall be reflected on each of the final plats as they come through. Finished floor elevations also should be provided on the final plats as they come to you. For the preliminary plat and the subsequent final plats also need to revise their signature block for town approval following the Bartonville ordinances. So, as I said, the one thing that may be controversial is that offset. But since the engineer and the planner have recommended approval of that and feel like it's not a life safety issue, I think that in good conscience, we can recommend approval of this preliminary plat with the conditions that were also recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission. They approved it by 5-0 at the September 3rd meeting, and we also recommend approval of the preliminary plat, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, appreciate it. Any discussion? Have a motion?
The applicant here, do you have anything to say? No, oh, sorry, just want to make sure.
Sure. Make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for High Plains, the first ranch, for the city of 46. Or 61.41 acres. As listed on the company so they got that with 1595.
Subject to the
Subject to the set conditions proposed by the MSO. Sorry.
All those in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Number 3, discuss and consider a final plat for Highlands First Ranch, phase encompassing approximately 34.14 acres. Property situated in Pensacola Survey, abstract number 1339 in the PTJ of the town of Bartonville, Denton County, Texas. The property is located generally east of State Highway 377 between Keith Road and Sweet Lane. The applicant GM Civil on behalf of the owner Royal Cat B1 LCC LLC, Town of Bartonville, file number FP 2025-003, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with condition by vote of 5-0 at September 3rd, 2025 meeting. Staff presentation, girls.
I'm so sorry, I'm having a little difficulty with the clicker. This is one of the final plats, for the High Plains at First Ranch. It is a 4A. This also has all the same recommendations as the preliminary plat. The 4A phase is surrounded in red, as you can see out there. It's the area that's closest to 377. In the same way that all of the editorial things on the plat need to be corrected, it also needs to be corrected on the final plat so that it can be filed. And also that since you already approved the waiver for the preliminary plat, I don't think it's necessary to approve the waiver for this Or do you have to, since it's the waiver for the offset was already approved in the preliminary plat
I was approved as only conditions.
with conditions?
Okay, so the council's approval will be also the conditions.
Okay, so the final plat for phase 4A. Would basically be the same conditions for the preliminary plat. And again, they're all the same issues that I just discussed with the preliminary plat. So, current planner says that she recommends approval for this, with the conditions as this.
So basically, there's no changes, it's the same conditions.
Same conditions.
Any questions? Thank you. You have a motion?
I move to approve the final plat for High Plains First Ranch, phase 4A. Encompassing 39.94 acres of property, Winston Law Survey abstract number 1339 with conditions.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Phil.
But you keep it on.
Thank you. Number 4, discuss and consider approval of ordinance amending the town budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st. 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025 is adopted by the ordinance 772-24, providing for adjustments to the general fund and Martin Community Development Corporation. Staff presentation.
Mayor Council, the town has collected $124,780 more in revenue than projected and spent $523,946 less than it was projected. As Shannon said, we're looking pretty good. This budget amendment adjustments account for that are over or under budget by at least $1,000 to ensure accurate reporting, maintain transparency. And I'll go over some of the key adjustments that were included in the packet. Fund 150 is our reserves, transferring $183,645 from the tax note overage that was found. That was $367,290 and accounted for excess, the excess interest earned. So, go ahead.
I'm sorry, is this about community development or is this
I'll turn this off.
about a community development corporation budgets?
No, this is 150, which is our reserve fund,
Okay,
and we can talk about those, and a couple months ago, we let you know that we identified a overage in the tax note of 367,000,
right.
and we're splitting that between reserves and street improvements. So that way we can help with more money in streets and more money putting into reserves.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if it tied into BCDC. Okay,
No.
that's what was the item, the agenda item is. Okay. I'm on number 4.
And this is the budget amendment, we're starting with general fund, not ECDC.
Oh, okay, okay, all right. Sorry, all right.
That's okay. Like we mentioned, that was the money, that tax note, and we are splitting it to put more money in the reserve to get up to that million. And then the other 183,000 will go into streets. And so fund 160 water waste, we added back revenue and expenses that previously weren't allocated. And that was right at $38,000. And then I'm gonna let Shannon explain this one. This fund 310 will be going away, so I'll let her explain that. And then also the fund 170, when we're talking about the GEA project 2, and the other ones will be doing projecting this year. But Shannon, do you mind going over that before?
Not at all, thank you, Chief. Fund 310, council created a couple of years. It's the council designated when we took $1 million from the reserves and put it into a street council designated fund. It really wasn't created as a true fund, so that those funds do not roll over every year like ours does with 170, since it's our sales tax restricted fund. So we are proposing to make sure that we're not having to remember to bring that back into the budget. We want to take the remaining from that fund 310, fund 310. Which was, we spent 700, almost 755,000 in 2024, and then nothing was budgeted into it for this current year. So we want to take the remaining $245,360 and use that towards Jeter Phase 2 project. And then we want to take the balance, the tax overages of $183,645. Since 170 is restricted, I can move those funds into 310. And then do a journal entry to make sure that that amount should reflect in 170, leaving more money in 170 that rolls over every year and gets money in there, but because that's the sales tax that we receive every month. So we want to make sure that that money is in there to make sure that that balance keeps growing as well. It's just very difficult keeping that 310 since it wasn't created correctly.
So to summarize, how much is going into the roads? Road fund?
I'm sorry, I didn't do that, but the 245,000 plus 183,000,
Okay, thank you.
yes.
And then the reserve,
And 183,000 is going into reserve.
okay.
That would go into 170 and 310 would no longer exist.
Correct.
Okay.
That way it's a lot easier for us to keep going, moving the funds and making sure the money keeps rolling.
It's all earmarked for roads anyway.
Yes, it was.
310 does not have any funds allocated in our future budget.
Correct. It didn't have anything this year either.
Nothing in 2024, right?
In 2024 it did, but the current year that we're in right now, 24-25,
It did not.
it did not. And so before we forget about it, I wanna make sure we use it.
Thanks, Jen.
Mhm.
I knew she'd explain it much better than I could. You always pass it. It's bringing the relief picture, right? So then, Fund 180, which is a Lantana Center grant liability, correcting budget transfer account, that one, we're correcting at $17,000. We're having to adjust that. Those are the amendments to the budget. And if there's any other questions on that, we'll more than happy to answer for them.
We're skipping BCDC. Those,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Those are just overages that they had in their budget. So we were accounting for almost 16,500 because in marketing, because of the magazine that they're doing, and also you guys approved their marketing performance agreement. And so we're actually bringing in $26,340 to offset their overages. Those include postage, computer software, Old Town improvements, and Old Town maintenance.
Any questions? Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Chief. Number 5, discussing consider approval of an ordinance approving the Navajo County budget for fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025, and ending September 30, 2026. Staff presentation.
Fiscal budget 2025-2026 proposed budget is hereby presented for adoption. The proposed budget was filed in the office of the town secretary on August 15th. And the proposed budget was made available for public inspection by the taxpayers in accordance with Title 4, Chapter 102, Section 102.005 of the Local Government Code. The public hearing for the proposed budget was held on September 2nd, at which time all citizens, parties interested were given the opportunity to hear regarding the proposed 2025-2026 fiscal year budget. No one spoke in favor or in opposition. The proposed budget is based on our 17 cents on 100 tax rate.
I'm sorry, before we move forward, can we go back to agenda item 4 and take a vote on amending the ordinance?
I mean, we didn't make it.
I thought we did. You have a motion?
I'll approve the ordinance amending the town's budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024. ending September 30th, 2025, as adopted by ordinance 772-24, providing for the adjustments to the general fund and the barn bill and the general fund.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Motion carries 5-0. You're so picky, she. Thanks. So, Chief, are you done?
Yes.
Presentation?
Yes.
Thank you. You have a motion?
I make a motion to move to approve normal security property account budget for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025, and ending September 30th, 2026. That's good.
A second.
We need a roll call. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Roberts,
Yay.
Mayor Pro Tem Chapman,
Yay.
Councilmember Sands,
Dave,
Councilmember Crandall,
Yeah.
Councilmember Aaron's.
Yeah.
Motion carried unanimous.
Thank you, Catherine. Number 6, discuss and consider approval of ordinance approving the 2025 certified tax values, levying taxes, and fixing and adopting the tax rate on all taxable property within corporate limits of the city at the tax rate of 0.173646 per $100 of assessed valuation on taxable property, and providing an effective date. Staff presentation.
In compliance with Texas law, the town is required to publish notice of the 2025 property tax rates, including the no new revenue and voter approval rates, along with the notice of public meeting. The proposed tax rate is 17.3646 for every 100 of property value, which is the same as last year's rate. This ordinance directs how the tax money will be used for general fund, outlining how taxes must be paid, collected, and sets penalties and interest for late payments. The total taxable value on the 2025 appraisal roll, including estimated values, is $843,340,784.
Easy for you to say.
Any discussion? You have a motion?
I'll make a motion, to
Let me make sure, I'm sorry, so Shannon and I were working very diligently on Friday on these agenda items. And I had provided the motion that is out of the tax code, but I did not hit send on that email, and I just realized that. So when I saw the proposed motion, I came here, so I want to explain a couple of things, so y'all's rate's not going up, I mean, it's staying flat, sure. But because of the way the tax code is written, you're required to have a specific motion. And it is raising more revenue for you because valuations went up. So I have a proposed motion that I emailed just now to you, Shannon, I don't know if you can access that or not. I was texting you too, sorry, that's why I was distracted on the phone when I realized we did not have it, so. I can hand my laptop over to someone on the left. And see, I'm very sorry, y'all. I cannot believe I did not hit send it. So,
I can read the email, would that be better than somebody?
so somebody has to make this as a
Okay,
motion,
yes,
very
yes,
specific. What is the ordinance number? That's the only thing I did not. Submit.
788-25.
Yeah, the item also says needs to provide an effective date. Is that part of your motion?
That is just some standard posting language. It's gonna be effective, the ordinance will be effective upon passage, the tax rate will be effective June 3rd.
Okay.
788-2, consultation. He's not. I'm not. There's. Councils don't like this, cities don't like this, because you are not increasing taxes, but this is the tax code, and this is what they think us to do, so. This will hand it over to you.
Okay, we ready to move forward? I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.173646, which is effectively a 7.486% increase in the tax rate and approve ordinance number 788-25.
Need a roll.
Trustee roll call.
All right, it's taking just a little extra time to ready. Councilmember Roberts,
Yay.
Mayor Pro Tem Chapman,
Yay.
Councilmember Sands,
Yeah,
Councilmember Crandall,
Yay.
Councilmember Aaron's.
Yeah,
Motion carries unanimously.
And we. Number 7, discuss and consider resolution acknowledging and ratifying that the adoption of the fiscal year 2025-2026 annual budget will require raising more revenue from property taxes than the previous fiscal year, and ratifying the property tax increase reflected in the budget and providing an effective date. Staff presentation, Patricia.
Okay, so this is another one of those things, it's involved in government code, because you've got an increase in revenue, because you have an increase in valuation. Well, government code says that after you adopt your tax rate and your budget, you must take a separate vote to ratify the tax rate increase reflected in the budget. So the motion is just to approve the resolution, I think that one, we did just ratifying the budget.
Acknowledging and ratifying the adoption of this fiscal year budget.
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution acknowledging and ratifying the adoption of the fiscal year 2025-2026 annual budget. And will require raising more revenue from property taxes than the previous fiscal year. Ratifying the property tax increase reflected in the budget as presented.
Thanks, man. Second,
that's it.
roll call.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yay.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yay.
Councilmember Sands,
Yeah,
Councilmember Crandall.
Yay.
Councilmember Aaron's.
yeah.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Number 8, discussion and consider ordinance amending the town of Arkville Code of Ordinances, chapter 8, offensive nuisances, article 5, noise, section 08.05.004, environmental sound level, subsection C, sound level limits, and section 08.05.006, noise is prohibited, subsection 4, construction work by defining construction work allowed and prohibited hours of operation, providing a penalty for violation, providing an effective date. Staff presentation.
Mayor and council, the town's noise ordinance limited loud disturbances, including construction work. Recently we received several complaints about construction noise, hearing too many early in the morning and after 7 p.m. and also on the weekends. To address this concern, staff is proposing updating the ordinance to set specific construction work hours while keeping the current rules for the other noise sources like animals, equipment, amplified sounds, trash collection, and emergency devices. The proposed new construction hours will be Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and no construction allowed on Sunday. Construction noises must always remain within industrial sound limits unless a variance is obtained. So, I've had several, like I said, come up, most of them come from Deer Hollow. When you're doing the new construction, people going out late at night, the roofers trying to finish up, they're out there at 7, 8, 9 o'clock. With the lights, and so anyway, and then early in the morning with, sometimes they have, those huge, the tractors backing up, making noise, so. In order to prevent this, and ours was it was like 10 p.m. till 7 a.m., it was quite. A lot of more time that I think is, should be allowed to keep the peace for people that do want to get a little sleep in on the weekends, or if they're entertaining, they don't have some, nail guns going off. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring this to council.
Well, some people work from home too.
Yes.
It's hard if there's a lot of. Anyway, discussion.
yeah, another question. Oh, is this ordinance of this? Does this pertains primarily to contractors, subcontractors in the construction business?
That's where we're getting most of the complaints, yes, sir. That's what I have been, getting the complaints from is construction work. I really haven't had any complaints from anything other than construction.
Like if someone's roofing.
And I understand that, and I'm going on with that. My question would be, if this is going to apply to the citizens as well, what about the weekend do-it-yourselfers that are working on weekends to do projects like we've got several going on now that's trying to build them out buildings by themselves on weekends? Is that, are these, because I know the noise levels, is that the noise levels the same as what pertains to like the Marty B's and all that we went through down the decibels and
Maybe.
so forth?
It is, you know, the main thing is just trying to, when people are trying to, either work from home, just give them some peace. But as far as that's the complaints we're getting, I haven't had any complaints from somebody building a shed or anything like that, or so.
Well, I'm just curious do we need to change the wording on that to apply to contractors and subcontractors?
I think it's specifically around Sunday, correct?
Right.
Implying is that there's residents in town, myself included.
Right.
Use equipment to. This would.
I think if I remember in the code, it did say that it does allow for that. It's on, yes.
Construction.
Yes, it does say construction workers operator are permitted to be operated on for, if you look on the red lines. But when I changed the, let me go to that one, thank you. If you go to where, let's see, go to number 4, it talks about construction work, yeah, commercial.
Operating, permitting, operating, commercial construction, alteration, demolition, building, structure, streets, alleys, patent purposes, heritage. Should be fair.
Yeah, that should cover it, because like you said, there's people that may be, doing hay or something like that, this isn't gonna affect people farming. But that makes sense.
Sounds like this is related to a construction site,
Yes.
whether it's new construction or remodel construction, and not necessarily to normal, everyday activities related to the types of properties that are within apartment buildings, so.
And just so you all know, even when it's construction, we go out there, we're not giving them a citation, we're shutting them, we're not gonna be strict, and, I mean, we're gonna let you know that you're in violation, but we're gonna give you warning, just like when we go to your house and you have loud music, we're gonna come out and say, hey, can you turn it down? So this is just mainly the complaints I've been getting, like you say, in construction areas. So that's why we wanted to change this. You look at construction, it was 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. 10 o'clock at night, somebody using an nail gun, nobody wants to hear that. So that was the reason contacting you all to make this amendment. But as far as, somebody doing hay on Sundays or their tractor, things like that, those aren't complaints we're gonna get.
Or if you're getting a roof, I mean.
Yeah.
For 2 days.
Yeah, if you're out there putting up shingles or something.
Yeah.
At least my section was technically for legal interpretation of the code, if it applies to.
It says commercial construction, so that's not going to be your private.
So it would be private, so.
You hired someone to come out to your house, they cannot, if you're doing it yourself, you're not.
Any more discussions?
Well, no. And pertaining to that, but what about? When you look at this, on item number 2 and number 3. Are we getting into this? My concern there is the interpretation of this is the citizens that are up in Deer Hall. And then up there on the hill behind White Beach, are they talking about? Now you're talking about loudspeakers, and all, you're not gonna get back involved in all this. Confrontation with.
It's about construction, not.
The red light's only related to number 4, so
Yeah.
there's no changes being made to 2 and 3, they're staying static. So number 4 is that's where the changes.
And it's only pertaining to this construction.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is my question, thank you.
I'll move to approve an ordinance amending the town of Bartonville Code of Ordinances, chapter 8. Offenses and nuisances, article 5, noise, section 08.05.004. Environmental sounds, sound levels of section C, sound level limits and section 08.05.006, noise is prohibited. Subsection 4, construction work by defining construction work allowed and prohibited hours of operation.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Number 9, discuss and consider appointment of chair to the Volunteer Recognition Committee for fiscal year 2025-2026. A, Board of Adjustment, B, C, Barville Planning and Zoning Commission, and then D, Barville Special Events Advisory. Staff presentation.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This item will authorize the town council to appoint the chairs of the Board of Adjustment, Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Special Events Advisory Committee. As the mayor just mentioned, we will not be taking action on the Barville Community Development. And if you could make your motion separately so that we can follow along there.
So Board of Adjustments, we have a discussion or someone, we have a motion?
I move that we appoint Kathy Dom, Chair of Board of Adjustments.
I'm saying,
All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. DCDC, no action taken. C, Planning and Zoning Commission, have a motion.
I move that we appoint Gloria McDonald, Chair of P S C.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Number D, Special Events Committee.
I nominate, Lori Van Alstine to be chair of the special events committee.
if you might get ask a question.
Sure.
If you look at the special events, they've done one heck of a job and always done a great job. I think we need to think about maybe giving others an opportunity that might want to do that and contribute. Without, I don't know if anyone else has any input on this. We've got other people that've been on this, worked their butts off. As has everybody, and Lori's done one heck of a job, Randy's done a great job. I think Lori's been in, what, 2 years?
Done 1 year.
Just 1 year?
Randy did it the first year. Lori's
It's
done
not
the second.
the third year, it's the second.
This is-
Second.
We're finishing up our second year.
Yeah, and I don't, that's just, I'm just throwing it out there, maybe for food for thought to see if there might be somebody else that would like to give an opportunity to make them, give them an opportunity to be part of something with leadership, or maybe that we, maybe change up next year for something else, it's just food for thought. I know we got a new, who is it, Stephanie?
Yes, Stephanie Phillips, she's a new person.
But she's gonna be a great addition, but I think we need to stick with something that's got some experience. Not to say that all you being even, whatever, that's just, I'm just throwing it out about maybe especially. That's what I'm about.
Question, the only question I would have is, who would want to serve?
Well, and that's why I would, we just need to think about that. And if you look at what's out there, there's not much. Really out there, Kevin Downs already got her hands full and,
And I don't know if we have any prohibitions against someone serving as chair of multiple committees, but I know before you,
Well, I discussed it with Lori and she wants to do
she
it.
wants to do.
And
She did a great job.
Shannon mentioned, we had 16 openings and only 15 people applied. So, it's difficult to get people to volunteer. And when somebody wants to do the job, I think we should give them an opportunity.
Would it make sense to have someone in the vice chair role to prepare them for maybe next year, whenever the board rolls off? Or
I think we have a vice chair.
We don't have a vice chair.
Because that's just.
The people that are on there are
Look
very
at the
well
down listed as
experienced.
vice chair.
Oh, is she? Under.
Last year.
Like, yes, Kathy's very capable of chair. I mean, she's always done a great job with the others. She can chair any committee. But I don't know about who else.
Since you've been involved in the y'all done a good job, so you know who you got on there and who to take the leads and who kind of give it direction and hold things together and motivate others to do. Cause y'all did one heck of a job.
From my standpoint, when we first, created this committee, it was, and this was just my personal view on the matter, was I always felt like this committee needed to be chaired by a resident instead of someone that's already in, an elected position. Because this is a function of trying to bring the citizens in to participate in two different kind of functions. It's always felt that it would be better if a resident would chair that. So Randy did it the first year, Lori's, has done it the second year, and she's done a great job. I just don't know who else would want to do it at this point. We haven't really had that discussion.
Well, and that's fine, that just gives y'all
Yeah.
the opportunity next year. to really-
So, yeah, it's something that we can consider and talk about with people next year.
Yeah.
So.
Any other discussion? No.
We'll need a second if that's gonna go.
I'll second that. Second motion before the board, and also necessary. Okay.
All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Kendra. Number 10, discussing current ordinance procedure for processing site plans and other applications, provide direction to the staff regarding potential amendments, staff presentation books.
The one thing that was asked here is that it's possible for the city council to consider removing the 30-day shop clock on site plans, which is not required by the state. And any other suggestions that you might have for how to make site plans move through the process more efficiently.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. To move, we don't have to have a time limit on the shop clock, is that correct?
Yeah, so, Melanie and I talked about this before she left and said, basically what happened is that the current ordinance has a shop clock component tied to a site plan. When that statute was first enacted, it had some nebulous term like development plan, and nobody knew what it meant. So sometimes out of an abundance of caution, cities added in site plans thinking maybe that was that, and it was tied to a shop clock. Since then, we had a Texas Attorney General opinion that said that's not the case, and they've now codified that in the statute and removed that term. So a site plan is not included. So as it currently sits, when you receive a site plan, you've got 30 days to get it approved, to get through the process. If you fail to approve it with conditions or deny it for reasons, then it's automatically approved. We're treating it in our ordinance exactly like we would apply, and it's not required. And site plans are more complicated and the things that take more analysis. And so to do that actually hems everybody up, and either the applicant has to agree to an extension or it just gets denied, and we can't be sure we're denying with all the reasons. So the suggestion is that we remove it completely from that process. The things that Helen and I talked about, there were also some additional components of this, is that there are some notice requirements in here for site plans. It is both a public hearing notice, it is a surrounding property, written notice in the mail, and it's also signs posted. All those three apply. So oftentimes that's unusual for a site plan. And when we see that in an ordinance, it's sometimes because there's been an issue in the past and there were concerns. There are only, as I saw the section, I'm certainly not the planner, but we're all getting used to kind of the ordinance, we're all learning that at this point, in these ordinances. There's only 3 circumstances that I see in the general site plan section where one is referred, doesn't mean it's not somewhere else in a specific provision, but for a new non-residential, if you have an increase in existing non-residential that exceeds 30%, or if there's a single family residential that a portion of which is a private amendment, and it's, and for that, you're adding on like a pool house or something like that, and a site plan would be required. So in those circumstances, you're going through all this process. I think what we're looking for is some direction before we start drafting words in ordinance. How much notice do you want on the site plan? How much are you comfortable with? I think the timeframes are easy. They should not be there. We need to remove those. But how much notice you want is a decision that you need to make.
Or if you even want to have
Right.
public notice, because in a lot of cities, most cities that I've lived for, site plans are not required to notice it
For the neighbors,
Right.
okay.
And the way that they're different from plats is if you have a plat and it meets all the requirements of your subdivision ordinance, or you have conditions that it will meet, then you don't have any discretion to say no to that. But with a site plan, the council has much more discretion. And I think sometimes, it might be used, as a way of fixing zoning in some cases. So I think there needs to be very, good requirements for what the site plan has to meet. You know, the landscape plan, the site plan, the setbacks, all these things. And then you still have discretion if you feel like a setback has to be greater. For some reason or another, we do have the discretion to do that, is that correct?
Not, I wouldn't on a setback, not
No.
percent, but on the other things, on the other items you can, and that's why it is more similar to a zoning function, but as Ms. Wilson identified, you can't fix zoning matters with the site plan. So the zoning is what the zoning is, and the site plan should be consistent with that zoning. So there are a lot of words in here to deal with that. So one of the suggestions was, let's just go through, pare that down to what it needs to be.
Okay.
And so we don't have these things that could have you going beyond what you're legally supposed to be doing. Where a site plan would keep you consistent.
So removing the shot clock and removing notifications, is that true?
Then those are the two things that are off bubble from what state law requires.
Okay.
Is that it's, a site plan is a more of a zoning function, which is why it is not part of the shop law.
Yeah.
But most cities do not have public hearing notices on site plans, because a site plan really is, you've got your zoning in place, they're gonna show you where everything's gonna be. And if it doesn't match up, then you have to get a variance from that. And that would require something, would be something that would require a public hearing and some notices. But if my zoning says that I can put, you know, my house in a certain way or my business in a certain way. But I have to meet these requirements, then it really is, you look at that, and see if they meet the requirements. If you need to change something, then the council gets to approve that.
So the staff's recommending, y'all are recommending removing the shot clock and the public notices also.
When their thoughts are for site plan and public, now all the public notices.
You know, definitely giving us more time.
Yeah.
I think is important. As far as the notices, I mean, I look at it, you know, because then they gotta we gotta get the signs, not that they're expensive, then they have to post it, but if you don't have to do it, I mean, that's obviously council's discretion. That's up to you. We can continue that practice, but definitely giving us more time, because it's tough sometimes to get everything put together, get with, you know, the planner, the attorney, engineering, so it does give us more time to work on these projects. But as far as the notice, if it's not required by law, I'm okay with it not, with that, like I said, that's council's discretion.
It's just additional work.
Yeah.
Administration expense, yeah.
Well, that's-
And expenses, yes, you gotta post newspapers, we gotta buy, we just, you know, you gotta buy new signs,
Yeah.
they get tore up, you gotta, it's, you know, there is an expense, there is a huge
Are
expense.
y'all okay? Removing
And
it?
not only with the expansion, but you know, simplify the process and make it as simple as you can without having extended that.
I wouldn't change it.
But we're only talking about removing the notice for a site plan when it complies in general respect with our ordinances as we have them written. If something is outside that boundary,
They have to go to BRI.
then we have to go to the mayor, have to come to council, and then notices will be given accordingly at that point. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Your standard site plan should simply be depicting what your ordinances require. If there's variations from that, then it's gonna have to go through a
That's
general process. And it doesn't mean it wouldn't still come before council. What it means is that staff would have to 15 days ahead, notice in the newspaper, signs on the property, notice to property owners, they wouldn't have to go through that entire process. But it's still gonna be on a posted public agenda.
I just do know that in this town, if somebody starts moving dirt, residents are looking and they're paying attention and they're probably calling up here, they're calling the mayor, calling me. Hey, is there enforcement? Have they gotten their permits? What have they done? So, they do notice.
This item is just to get your feedback. Staff will definitely be bringing back track changes to the ordinances, the proposed changes based on what you tell us tonight. But it sounds like you guys are okay with us removing the extra steps that are not needed,
Required by law.
required by law. Yes, thank you.
So we don't need to make a motion or vote.
Yeah, we're just trying to get some direction before, you know, staff spent time in it before you spent legal dollars and planning dollars on drafting an ordinance. We want to see if you were interested in doing. And the only other component that I didn't mention was the Board of Adjustment has a deadline in here also for you have to have, 60 days to get it done. And so that would be one of the other time periods that we would look at pulling back, and we'll bring back language on that as well.
Okay.
But no, we do not need a motion. We can go by the consensus and we're hearing what you're saying, that we can, like I said, remove the notices that are not required by law. And that we can look at the deadlines and bring back what we feel is better.
I'm sure you.
Sounds good.
Councilman Crandall, I actually got one today about a privacy fence on that. And I went in, I looked, and it's under 2 acres, so they can do it for our new fencing. So we do get those, and most of the time, they're very receptive once I give them the example, but. We appreciate it. We'll bring this back to, like Shannon said, red line, have the attorney, planners look at it, and just make it a little easier on us. We would appreciate that.
Okay, so just in the staff direction then, it's not, they're not gonna- okay.
Yes.
Okay, any future agenda item? Time being 7:55. Thanks.